Today's guest, we have the legendary Mike Falso, who's the Director of Sales and Business Development for OmniActive in the West. And OmniActive is a science-backed, innovation-first ingredient supplier. And you guys specialize in developing new ingredients and custom delivery formats. And we'll talk, I think, in a little bit about your flagship product, Lutemax. It's IP protected marigold flower extract, improve cognitive health, mental performance, support the mood. But what I most know it for is for, eye health and vision performance. So yeah, that's it. But Mike, welcome to the show. So.
Thanks. That's the coolest introduction I've gotten anywhere, so I really appreciate it. I'm gonna be accused of paying you to say legendary, but that was free. That was a good one.
I don't know why it came to me, and I wrote it down, and we had to do it. So, but yeah, Can you tell us just a little bit about what is OmniActive for people who aren't familiar with the company? Just high level.
So like you said, we're an ingredient supplier, raw material ingredient supplier. We have been around in the U.S. since about 2009. I've been here 2019, so I wasn't there for the start, but I've been at this really cool kind of upswing we've been doing. Company was started as a spice company years ago by our founder and kind of evolved into what it is today. It went from spices and then botanicals, and now it's these specialized extracts for nutraceuticals. But to your point, Lutemax 2020 is definitely our flagship. We got into that pretty early on in our company's history. It's become kind of its own beast where we've gone beyond eye health, like you said, and we've done studies on cognitive and sleep and skin health. And it's just a really cool ingredient, kind of unique in its space and certainly something we've put a lot of time and effort into. We love to innovate. We try to roll out a new ingredient since I've been here, it feels like one a year, but it's probably one every 2 years or so. And we go back constantly to the ingredients that we have and figure out how we can improve them, whether it's improving, the delivery systems we go into, kind of a new study highlighting an interesting area that maybe wasn't touched in the original one, but has kind of since come up. And yeah, we're always innovating. We really like to look at what we can do for our customers, for our clients. We've had requests come in, can you make this go into a gummy? Can you figure out how to make this go into a drink? And our R&D team in India is absolutely fantastic, and they'll take those challenges up. And I don't think I've seen them not be able to get one to a stage where it could be commercialized if there was continued interest. So, from our beadlets to our oil suspensions, there's always something going on with improving the products.
Yeah, you mentioned kind of going from spices to extracts. For a layman, I don't know much about it, but what's the difference and what's the benefit of an extract?
Well, so with the spices, that was just where the founder's family, the Marwala family, kind of initially got started. And then I think the interest there came from Ayurvedic medicine, where they wanted to look at things where, it's natural. It's your curcumins, your lutein from marigolds, all these things that are part of, not so much part of the medical, but just part of the culture there and the diet there that for thousands of years have been looked at for what benefits they give. And the idea behind it, I think, was to go back and actually study why those things are doing what people believe they do. So you're going back and you're looking and you understand eating certain foods is historically known to be good for your eyes. And they said, well, why? Like, what is doing that? They went and looked into it, understood lutein's power, studied that, made the extract of that. That way you're getting just the actives and not everything else. I mean, you don't want to, the idea of eating a marigold flower is not very appealing to me, but the idea of taking something and using that lutein, very appealing to me. Same thing with like our Capsimax is red hot chili pepper extract. I was just kind of looking at the math of this, but like the amount of actives that are in a small dose of Capsimax, because it's concentrated in its extract, is equivalent to like 10 grams of hot pepper. And so the thought of taking a pill that does something versus just shoving those down, very appealing. So the idea is just to make these more functional, really giving you the full delivery of it without kind of everything else that comes along with some of these raw materials.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a common argument is, I'll just get the ingredients from, eating vegetables or eating peppers, but it sounds like you can't quite get enough in there. And then
anytime we look at dietitian recommended amounts of foods where they're like, if you eat X amount of servings of fruits and vegetables, you're going to get this much of that that delivery. But for something like lutein, you have to eat like 9 servings of vegetables a day, which no one does. I can't imagine sitting there and eating vegetables for 24 hours straight and be like, all right, that was one dose. That's good.
Right.
Let's do it again tomorrow.
And you mentioned that, hey, let's look into why these things do what they're doing. Was the company always kind of science-backed like that? Or, did it start out and just say, hey, let's make spices? How did that science focus kind of come into the organization?
Yeah, so I think that was really part of the switch from the spice business into this extract business, where they wanted to have the clinical studies behind it. They wanted to be able to back those Ayurvedic claims that are known and understood, but really, to function in a supplement and have real claims for it that the FDA is not going to immediately come out and say, like, what are you talking about? We have these studies, and we've, I think in the last 5 years, we have 40 clinical studies on our ingredients, and then probably overall a little over 50 when you go back further. But that was always a big part of it, was to be able to back up what they're saying and what we want the ingredients to do. We want to back up that is what they're doing, and we can show it.
Right. I read recently, I follow this thing called like data charts, and it shows you all the things that are like trending on Google. And one of the things that they were talking about, or that was shown as trending, was science-backed ingredients. Are you seeing that as far as, the nutraceutical industry, as far as a trend in the industry, that, consumers are looking for, more rigid or more rigor being put into the research and the science behind the ingredients?
Yeah, definitely. So when I joined OmniActive in 2019, and I had no previous experience in this industry. I worked in a first CPG company for 10 years. And then switching over, it was really eye-opening to me as a occasional consumer of supplements, and then working in the industry to really look at different products and different claims and understand, like, some of it's nonsense. Like, you can buy stuff off the shelf sometimes and you're like, they're making some wild claims with very basic ingredients and not a lot of them. Maybe that's not the best. And then switching to this, where you're looking at, what is an efficacious dose of an ingredient, and understanding that if that's in something, you can expect these benefits. And if it's not, maybe you're relying on a blend or something to give you those claims, or you're hoping it may support this thing. But really the language is so specific to products. When it's clinically backed and it says, it can do this, this, and this, it may support these additional things, but this is what the science shows, versus a product that talks very abstractly about what the benefits are supposed to be. And I think with when I started, and then, kind of bulldozing right into COVID and sort of the change in consumers during that time, we went from a pretty, marketing focused, people buy whatever looks good off the shelf, to educated consumers that are like, if I'm buying something right now and taking it, and it's, we're all focused on health, we're all focused on what we're supporting. I think consumer education suddenly shot through the roof. And in response to that, you see a lot of companies putting out much more clinically backed products, really researching the science. I more frequently now than ever have brands or whoever I'm talking to really want to deep dive the science, not just me tell them, hey, it'll do this. Capsimax will help you burn fat. Lutemax is going to help your eyes. And they go, okay, well, let's talk through the studies and let's really sit down and go through the data points and understand it. And we get challenged on it too. We have a absolutely incredible SRA team led by Dr. Dashani Rai. And she'll get on and defend the data, talk through it, explain it. And more often than not, I think what everybody leaves with is a better understanding of what our product does, but then also a better understanding of what their product can do for their customers, and be able to talk about it much more intelligently, have the marketing really focused around those key selling points and the key benefits. So yeah, I've certainly seen that trend moving that way.
Yeah. It seems like, one of the benefits of e-commerce, direct to consumer, this whole Amazon explosion that's happened in our lifetime is hey, it's made it a lot easier for regular people and for smaller brands to get into the space. And that's great, but the caveat is there's 1,000 brands. You go to Amazon and there's just pages and pages of people selling essentially the same products. And being a part of like a contract manufacturer, you might have a great idea as a brand, but then you start looking at cost, how much you can fit inside of a capsule, and so you're really constrained on your options to really differentiate yourself in the marketplace. And it seems like one key differentiator could be these science-backed ingredients like OmniActive provides. And I mean, I guess the other route is for a brand maybe just to go into it themselves and try to do the studies and the research and the science. But that sounds really time consuming, very expensive, and like you might do it wrong.
No, the clinicals are no joke. I mean, again, that's something prior to being in this industry I really didn't have an understanding of, but now I see it really from the conception of the idea to the execution of the clinical itself and what really goes into that, the kind of the screenings that go into it, kind of the pilot studies that go into it, the alignment between the science team, the clinical team, the marketing team, all kind of having to be on the same page of what are we getting out of this? Who is this going for? What category is this supporting? It's I wouldn't recommend anybody try to do it on their own. It takes a team of very talented people to pull it off versus a guy in a garage. But
right,
I mean, to your point with e-commerce, those little brands, even those that engagement and that education has, I think, significantly improved as people of you get passionate people that want to launch something that they care about, and so they do spend the time to look into the studies, look into the science. We try to publish as much of that as possible so it's out there for consumption, but you definitely see people more now than ever, I think, come in having read that stuff, having the background, and being ready to talk as somebody who understands the product, which is great.
Right. And what about, so we're talking a little bit about science-backed. There's also some other, there's some stuff that you guys do with safety around the products. I know that there's certain certifications that a lot of people like to get. What else besides just the efficacy of the product do you guys really kind of spearhead?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. I mean, one of the big things for us, especially over the past couple of years, has been sustainability. We really want to make sure that our products are sustainable, that they're good for the environment. So we've been working on a lot of these kind of green initiatives. One of our plants is slowly moving into solar power. I think they're about 20% solar powered now. They're looking at improving kind of the wastewater situation where they want to have zero water emissions. They want everything in-house. We use once the lutein's been extracted from the marigolds, that's sold as the marigold leftovers are sold as chicken feed. So it's all very sustainable practices. And then in India in particular, we're part of this group called the ILF. It's our Improving Lives Foundation. And we work with the farmers that are providing us with our materials, the guys that are growing the marigolds out there. We have 10,000 farmers in the network, and what we do is work back with those communities and do education, do healthcare, eye exams. We're putting our money where our mouth is. We care about eye health, so we're going back to those communities and doing eye screenings and cataract surgeries. Education is really important to our company and our team in India, and so we go and do partner with groups that help digitize classrooms so that they have better attendance, better performance, better engagement. And another big piece, especially with Lutemax, is vertical integration, where we're seed to sale. So we really want it to be a very natural, very clean, very controlled product. And so we work with the farmers to get them the seeds, work with them with farming practices that's sustainable and profitable for them. And we track that closely. I accidentally stumbled across a dashboard in our CRM that's the farmer's dashboard. And so you can actually see live weather updates on their fields and what the conditions are. And I was like, this is fascinating. I had no idea this was here, but that's the level of engagement we have with them, where it's daily we can tell what kind of weather conditions they're facing and how that might impact their crop production. It's wild to me that we have that level of detail, but it's great to me.
Yeah, one of my questions, and I knew this was going to happen, was it was basically going to get answered as we talked, but it was, what's the difference between, hey, a regular ingredient supplier or a supply house that's in the United States, and maybe they get their ingredient from a farm somewhere, and OmniActive? Like I said, you don't have to answer it, but it kind of, you basically already have with this vertical integration, everything you guys are doing in India. That's really incredible.
Yeah, it's a big point of pride for the company, and rightfully so. I mean, you can source stuff from anywhere, but it's nice to know exactly where it's coming from and know that you're getting the quality that you expect and the quality that you want for your own customers as it moves from us to a brand to the consumer. That traceability is really important, especially now. You have a much more educated consumer base that cares about that kind of thing. So it's really good to be able to go back and say, this is where it's from, this is how it's grown, this is how it's processed, and be able to back up the quality of it every step.
It was sunny 43 days last month.
Exactly. 0.3 centimeters of rain, but that's not going to be a problem.
Slightly humid. Yeah. No, that's great. Can you talk a little bit about your research and development centers, and then maybe a little bit about the delivery formats that you guys specialize in?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so all of our R&D work is done in India. We have a couple plants set up right now. We're headquartered in Mumbai. That's mostly the sales and marketing office. And then you move out into Pune and a couple other regions. And we have these very state-of-the-art R&D facilities. They are constantly working on improving the ingredients, whether it's the potency of the ingredients themselves, figuring out ways to improve the extract. A big part of what we do is our beadletting. So for something like Lutemax, Capsimax, that have very different needs for what those beadlets need to be, they're constantly working on improving that technology. I believe on Lutemax, we're now working on the version 3 beadlet, which is actually the 4th iteration of it. Lutein will fall apart if you look at it wrong, so we had to find ways to protect the actives in it, especially trying to get into things like gummies, functional foods, beverages, where there's different heats and pressures and all these things will just degrade lutein. We had to figure out how to protect it, and so we developed these beadlets that protect the active ingredient throughout the manufacturing process and through consumption, versus something like Capsimax, where you're trying to protect the body from that capsaicin extract getting released too early. So Capsimax beadlet will protect and not break down until it's in the lower intestine where you don't have pain receptors. So instead of, like I said before, instead of eating 10 grams of hot chili peppers and burning the entire way through, you're getting the benefits without the pain. So, different applications, different beadlets, but they're constantly working on those, working to improve those, which is really nice because it gives us something new to talk about every year or so. And we can say, hey, that ingredient that you know and love, it's better now. Here's why.
Yeah. You guys ever think about licensing the bead technology to other ingredients?
We've had conversations at different points about if there's ways we can maybe get more out of it. So I don't think we've officially moved ahead with any of those before, but I certainly think it's an interesting conversation, especially for the right opportunity, the right ingredient.
Yeah,
it's a great technology. I'd love to see it applied to more things.
Yeah. Going back to that India, you research and development centers in India. Lutemax, I know, comes out of India. Any other ingredients coming out of India?
Yeah, so all of our manufacturing is done in India too. So Lutemax, the marigold flowers are grown, harvested, processed, manufactured to the beadlets there. An extra that's grown in a different part of India. All of our manufacturing is done there, and
Gotcha.
A lot of the material does come from India itself. Some of it is sourced other places, particularly in the botanicals, but really our specialty, the backbone of it is Indian ingredients.
That's great. Yeah, and then you guys have the support of you said the ILF, right?
Yeah, that's our way of giving back for all the work that's being done by the farmers there. It's for their benefit and for ours.
Yeah. So on the bead technology, just one more thing. You mentioned it helping for digestion, helping keep that ingredient intact over its lifespan. Any benefits towards manufacturing as far as like encapsulation or anything like that? Or is it strictly on the consumption portion of it?
No, the same. I mean, we try to make sure that our beadlets are that they'll work in all different machines. We've worked before to kind of develop guidelines for usage, but we've also done things like change potency if there's if a beadlet is too big, if the delivery, the intended delivery is too large for a beadlet. We've learned how to scale down too and make a, lower potency, smaller size, so it works in different machines. We developed this VersaBead beadlet, and the whole point of that was, like I kind of mentioned before, to go into gummies, beverages. We wanted something that would survive the manufacturing process, essentially. So yeah, it's both for consumption and then also for the manufacturing piece. Both play an important role.
And then
it works in one and not the other.
Right. And we're a contract manufacturer. Obviously, we've partnered with you on a number of products. We use it in our research and development, and we help kind of guide brands to use some of these products if they're interested. Do you guys also work directly with brands and as far as getting your product out there?
Yeah, certainly. So we do both. Obviously, guys like you are fantastic partners for us. You help introduce us to a lot of brands and educate brands and get our name out there. But yeah, we love connecting directly with brands too, because sometimes there's, someone in their R&D department or product development market has a really cool idea that they're not quite sure how to execute on. And what we can do is, maybe they heard about our ingredient somewhere. In discussing just, this is what the ingredient does. We also have lots of companies that we work for and lots of products our stuff has gone into. And we can kind of give some guidance. A big thing that our marketing team does, we do a lot of consumer research. So that's something we can share back and help them develop something that's going to actually meet the needs of the consumer and not just be, I'm not making this just because it looks like fun, but there's a real need for something out there, and kind of help guide them towards that.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, I was bringing that up just in case there's any brands they can get in direct contact with you and really just get any questions that they have answered, work together with your science team, with their research and development team, and see if there's a fit there.
Yeah, absolutely. We love that.
What's your favorite ingredient that you guys supplied?
Oh, an extra, hands down. An extra is my absolute favorite. It's an Alpinia Galunga extract. It's Thai ginger. So if you've had Thai, you've probably eaten it without realizing it, that you're consuming it. Certainly not at an efficacious level, but you've had it before. It's this really unique ingredient that it's for focus and attention and mental energy. And it really, I like to say, kind of mimics some of the effects of caffeine, but probably a better way to say is it complements some of the effects of caffeine without being a stimulant. So it's a same day effect, like it's experiential. You take it within 5 to 10 minutes, you're starting to feel it. It's kind of like having a cup of coffee, but without the jitters. Lasts 5 hours, and it's just great. Like, it's just a great nootropic, really flexible ingredient too when we got it. So we originally licensed it and then eventually fully took it over. And when we had it licensed, it's what we now call our tablet grade version, which was this really very pungent, very dark color, kind of hard to work with, but great benefits. Once we took it over, we ran it hard through our R&D department. We worked with some food and beverage specialists to go, how do we make this better and figure out ways to improve it. So now it goes into gummies. We got these amazing vanilla coffee gummy prototypes that are not lasting long on my desk because I keep pulling them out for myself. But we've worked on, we've done prototype RTDs with it. We've seen it going into just unique applications, and because of that flexibility that's now baked into it, they can do some cool things. But hands down, my favorite. I mean, I take it daily, probably more than I should, but daily at least.
Yeah, I know why you're in sales now. I'm ready to buy this stuff.
You guys probably have it in your R&D room. You guys do a lot of an extra for us. It's a good product.
Yeah, we've got our
it's one of those ones
our samples over in the next room where I'm at. We have a bunch of samples of tons of products, so I'm gonna have to go do a scavenger hunt and see if I can find it. I
probably owe you guys some new gummies, so I'll send those over or deliver them back in a couple weeks. Hands down, an extra is my favorite. Lutemax is not something I would have probably been aware of before I started, but now is absolutely something I take daily.
And I think a lot of gamers use it as well, right?
Yeah. So it's, when you're talking about eye health, right now, probably the worst thing is digital device use. You and I are staring at a computer screen right now to talk to each other. I have a second monitor blasting blue light in my eyes. I'm on the phone before this. So you're just constantly staring at screens. Lutemax helps to protect your eyes from that. It helps to protect from blue light damage, keep your eyes healthy. And then some of those other studies that we've done off of Lutemax go into things like cognition, reaction time, visual processing speed, sleep. And so all those things for somebody like a gamer or even an athlete are really important. It's important to have good eyes. It's important to have that reaction time. So it's one of those things you might not be thinking about regularly, that how important your eyes are for that, but it's absolutely a core piece that if you're supplementing that, supporting that, you're going to have great benefits for your entire being.
Right. Yeah. No. I mean, the first thing comes to my mind is carrots for eye health, and not everybody likes carrots. So
that's one of my favorite things. So it's kind of an untruth with carrots. So there's certainly carotenoids in carrots, and there's things in carrots that are good for your eyes. But I'm probably wildly misremembering this, but I'm almost positive I heard that the idea that carrots are good for your eyes came back from World War II, when radar had been developed, and the British did not want the Germans to know that yet. So they very widely publicized the story that carrots are good for your eyes. Eat all your carrots. Do this. We're eating a lot of carrots because of wartime rationing, and so the idea that carrots are great for your eyes came from that. When really something like kale, like a green vegetable, is much heavier in carotenoids for you.
Interesting.
Just a dumb, useless fact that I'm fascinated by.
Another vegetable I don't like.
So you can skip the carrot juice. Go for a really good Lutemax gummy.
I'm gonna find the Lutemax. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Don't have a ton of time left, but I wanted to ask, what's next for OmniActive? What do you have on the roadmap?
So
what are you excited about?
We just rolled out 2 new studies that I'm super happy with. We had a kids study on Lutemax, so we have a kind of a new trademark for that called Lutemax Kids. It's a first of its kind study with lutein and zeaxanthin in kids ages 5 to 12. Looking at all the same markers that we looked at for adults, the improvements to eye health, macular pigment optical density, but then also cognition, that kind of reaction time, memory, really fantastical clinical, a long range of clinical. And that was something that came out of a consumer survey looking at 2,000 parents with kids, what are your concerns? And children's eye health was a big one. Again, going back to the digital device thing, kids use on average 4 hours of screen time a day. And I hate to say it, mine probably have at least that. But that's a big concern. So we wanted to go and look and A, make sure it's safe for kids, which it absolutely is. And that B, it's also benefiting them and their eyes the same way. We've always had this idea called lutein for every age that we've really backed, and this just was that missing piece to it, where we knew it was great for that kind of late teens, early adulthood, knew it was great for older audiences, know it's really good for prenatal health, but there was just this little missing piece of how is it for kids, and this study kind of supports that. It's absolutely important for them. So that one's great. That's opened the door to a lot of new brands for us to talk to, a lot of new talking points as far as getting in front of the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists. We're working with CRN, doing a prenatal nutrition piece with them. So that one's great. I'm really excited about the Lutemax Kids. And then the other one is our sleep route, which we rolled out the study a little bit earlier this year, about 2 months ago. We've been talking about it forever. We had this in development for quite some time. Did a really fantastic clinical with it, where we looked at not just only survey responses, did you sleep good? Yes, great. But this has, if you picture somebody all strapped up at a sleep study with the finger measurements and the breathing and all this stuff, measuring quantitative data into that as well as just the subjective stuff. Great product. We kind of saw this trend in the market where melatonin was starting to get looked at a little bit more negatively as people started to get more educated to what it was. We wanted to have a natural answer to melatonin versus valerian root. I'm sure you guys worked with valerian before. It's got that
smells
lovely dirty sock and a gym bag smell.
Yep.
And we wanted to go, how do we make people actually want to use this and use this in more than just a capsule? And so Sleep Root's a high potency valerian, so you can use less, get those benefits. It absolutely improves the organoleptics of it when you're manufacturing with it, when you're taking it. We made gummies with it just to kind of prove this this ingredient that's perceived as very disgusting can actually be quite good in a spearmint flavored gummy at night.
Yeah.
And the clinical was fantastic. It had really good results. Time to fall asleep, quality of sleep, feeling well rested the next day, and really want to position against melatonin as hey, here's a natural solution to sleep versus a synthetic one.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Is it it's separate from melatonin? There's no melatonin in this product. It's
right.
Gotcha.
It's just valerian, just a high potency valerian extract.
Yeah, I'm a little weird with my sleep. I don't like to take too many things. I'm just really kind of suspicious on there. I've taken valerian root before. Seems very natural, and I know melatonin's natural as well. But that's awesome that there's options for people who aren't just hey, maybe melatonin doesn't work for them, or maybe it makes them too groggy or something like that. Then they go back to this. So
that was one of the things we wanted to avoid that, and even just being a hormone. There's with melatonin, there's not a ton of long-term data on what that's going to do, and especially people giving it to their kids. I love my kids to death, but there's nights when I absolutely want to give them something that's going to knock them out and go to bed. I'd much rather have something. I've got the stuffed animals watching me as I say that. But having a natural option.
We're laughing over here too.
Good for long term. Good for long term.
I think any parent is gonna laugh. They're like, yep.
So for sure, it's good to have that natural option and move away from melatonin, which kind of was getting a really bad run through the press around the same time we were rolling this out. So it was a great conversation point for us.
Great, yeah. And then where are you guys? I won't ask, but on specifics, but where are you guys at with potential new products? You mentioned a 1 to 2 year cycle.
So women's health is a big interest of ours right now. We've heard the feedback from the brands that we work with and the manufacturers that we work with that women's health is this hugely underserved category. Considering I want to say women buyers make up more than half of supplement consumers, and certainly underserved as far as what products are out there specific to them. So we've been looking really hard at that, kind of narrowing down what categories we want to support, and then identifying the ingredients that are going to support those categories. So that's really exciting. We just brought on Stephanie Roberts as a new hire. She's going to be kind of leading that charge into women's health, which is going to be fantastic. She'll be much better equipped about talking about that than me with a beard. And then another one we're looking at is kind of the relaxation space, calmness, relaxation. I think we've really nailed energy with an extra and another product we have called Extenergy. And I love that we're looking the other way now at how do you get people to be calm and feel good. So we've got some interesting developments there too. A little too early to talk about it, but I would guess by supply side we'll have some great stuff to show.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's really awesome, and especially on the calm side. I heard a study say that 76% of people live 76% of their lives in high stress. And
I believe it.
Yeah, and so I love waking up. I love my coffee. I love getting energized, getting acute with my mental capacity, but. There's something to be said about going the other direction as well. And then, going into that women's health space, I think you guys are definitely equipped to do that with the science-backed and, making sure, I know pregnancy is a huge thing, making sure the baby is whatever the mother takes, the baby's also taking as well. So, being that you guys are so science-backed, we definitely trust you with kind of spearheading that space as well. So
yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I think this is a great podcast. I'd love to do this in person.
Yeah, for sure.
I think this was informative, engaging. I think you really showed what OmniActive is, what you guys bring to the market, what your value proposition is, and how you guys are research and innovation first. So. Yeah, again, just like to thank you for coming on.